Alright you guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Dylan Lustig, and in today's video we're going to be talking about why you should under no circumstance buy lowering springs. First things first, let's get the garage open and then we'll talk about it.
Got these bad boys.
So if you're new to the channel, you wouldn't know, but I'm the proud owner of that lemon right there. Right now it's not running. I'll go ahead and link that video as to why it's not running, but I am the proud owner of this beast right here. My 5th gen Camaro is lowered on some BMR springs. It's their 1 1.25" spring. And what I can show you guys is sort of, so, you know, the height, do a height check. So I got 2 fingers back here, and then up at the front, it's a little bit lower than that. I can't stick 2 fingers in, but it's sitting on BMR springs. I've owned the car for about 3 years, and probably for 2.5 of those years it's been on those springs. And so what I'm going to do right now is share my experience about springs and why you shouldn't buy it. Okay, so reason number 1 is pretty self-explanatory, but the springs that you would buy off of any company, whether it's BMR, I know Hodgkins makes some springs, any company, right? Even if they're quality springs, the springs that you buy aren't made for your factory struts. Your factory struts are made for the factory springs, and the engineers put a lot of thought into the shocks and the spring rate and all that stuff from the factory. And when you add springs, things get messed up. So a quick example of that, what I will show you guys is me popping the hood. So through some editing, so the hood is popped. And what you will notice is if you look here at the strut tower and the head specifically, there's a gap here, right? And this gap happens because the springs that you buy that are aftermarket are shorter than the factory springs. So that forces this to happen. And what you get with that is a whole bunch of ugly clunking noises as you're driving the springs. Noises is only one thing though. Maybe you think, oh, it's only noises, it'll be okay, I'll still drive on my springs. And for the first month or 2 that you're driving on the springs, it's okay. The springs are doing okay, your factory shocks are doing okay. It's not super unbearable, the comfortability isn't super horrible. But then you own them for 3 months, and then you own them for 4, and then 5, and then half a year, and then by then your shocks have gone to hell. Those things just aren't made for the spring rate that comes with aftermarket springs, and so your shock life from the factory that you would normally have is degraded and like cut in half. And so now you've got bad shocks, a crappy ride, and now you're stuck thinking, man, why did I get these springs? And trust me, I don't like making blanket statements and saying, hey man, nobody should get lowering springs. But for something like this, man, it really isn't that good, because for a lot of us, we're coming into this, we're buying a used car that's already got 50,000 miles, 60,000 miles, and the shocks already aren't in the best condition. And then we throw lowering springs on, and it just cuts the shock life down even more, to where now you're in a position to where instead of just buying coilovers, which is what you should have done in the first place, now you're going to get rid of the springs anyway because you have to get new shocks. And if you're going to get new shocks, you might as well get coilovers. And coilovers come with a whole bunch of performance benefits that you don't get with springs. The one main thing is adjustability. You can adjust the rebound settings, you can adjust the dampening settings, you can make it ride softer, make it ride firmer, you can adjust the height. And so one of the problems I have right now is I just added a nice big cam and like 100 horsepower to this car, and now I'm scared to launch it because I don't want to break an axle. But if I had coilovers, I could lift the rear up back to where it was from factory, get my axle angle at a really good place, and I don't have to worry as much. But let's say you're thinking, man, screw this guy, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Why would I spend $1,500 on coilovers when I can just spend $200 on lowering springs? Sure, the ride is bad, but you know what? It's $200, it's not $1,500. I'm gonna save $1,000. I can do so much more with those $1,000. And in that case, my answer to you is you're simply wrong. And the reason I can tell you're wrong is because I thought the exact same thing. I would listen to I'd see the old heads saying, hey man, just buy once, cry once. And I thought, man, they're tripping. I'm not gonna spend that much money on coilovers. And here they were right. It turns out sometimes the old heads know what they're talking about, and it really is better to just buy once and cry once. Because now I've got a car that the shocks are bad, I'm just gonna end up getting rid of the springs anyway and getting coilovers anyway, when I could have had a car that was maybe a little bit higher, right? But I would have had a nicer ride for longer, and then I could have just done the job once. Now I have to take everything off, buy coilovers, get rid of the shocks, get rid of the springs. I'm not gonna use them no more. Put the coilovers in, and I could have just done that in the first place. And coilovers aren't the only option. Some of you are like the baggy boys and they like having the airbags and dropping the car nice and low to the floor. And yeah, those things are expensive. We're talking about $3,000 systems. But in the intermediate time, don't waste money on springs, man. Some of those videos of those people that are riding static with the car slammed all the way to the floor, it's just not good, man. You're gonna scrape up your car, you're gonna send your shocks to crap, and it's just not worth it. It's best to just be patient, save up your money, and wait. And I think that sentiment can be had with a lot of things in cars that we tend to want to cheap out on. One example, at least for this platform, speed engineering headers, right? I have speed engineering headers on my car, and they did good for a little while, but now I'm more than sure the header is warped at the flanges. I had to use double gaskets on this side, I had to use RTV on this side, all this junk, because the headers aren't as good quality as something like Cook's, right? Sure, Cook's is expensive, $1,500 you're looking at for headers, but you don't run into these problems. So really, it is best. I hate the sentiment, I hate to have to be repeating it, I hate to show that, man, I was wrong, but buy once and cry once. And that's for everything. My headers, my speed engineering headers, I cheaped out on, now they're warped. I cheaped out in getting straight pipes. I got straight pipes for my exhaust. I just cut the mufflers, cut the resonators. Now the car drones like crazy. My springs, now the car rides like crap, right? So I'm telling you guys this because I know, as a cautionary tale, if you're somebody like me that was just trying to save a buck, man, you just got into cars and it doesn't even matter, it could be Camaro, Corvette, Mustang, whatever. You're trying to save a buck, just don't do it, man. Save your money and buy quality products, because on the flip side, you're gonna have quality that lasts longer. And I really do wish I saw a video like the one I'm making right now early when I bought this car 3 years ago. I know it was just 3 years ago. I'm still young now, but I have learned a lot in the 3 years of car ownership, especially with this car, man. I've learned a lot about this platform, I learned a lot about the LS platform, but more than that, I learned about sort of the finance that goes behind this stuff, right? You do not want to cheap out. It's just not in your best interest. So with everything, today we're talking about springs. I've already told you guys it's not worth it. Please listen to me, it's not worth it. You're just gonna crap your shocks out, you're gonna have a crappy ride, you're gonna have nasty sounds, clunks, and all this junk coming from your suspension, and it's just not worth it. But I don't want to hold you guys up for too long in this video, so if you have any comments, if you disagree with me, or if you have any experiences, just go ahead and leave them in the comments below. I do my best to answer all of you guys' comments. Other than that, it's been real Dylan Lustig. Like, comment, subscribe, you guys know the deal, and until the next video, I'm out here. Alright, real quick, if you guys made it this far into the video, I really appreciate you guys watching this much. I know a lot of people like to click off before the video's finished, but if you made it this far, I do want to say Vader has been getting called out like crazy. People have been calling out Vader all on social media, talking about they want to run it, Mustangs, Chargers, Challengers, all of it, right? So once we get Vader running, I'm telling you guys, the content is gonna be crazy. The Mexico runs are gonna be crazy. It's gonna be a whole bunch of fast-paced content, and I know you guys are gonna want to see that. So if you haven't subscribed already, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, because I'm telling you guys, the content's gonna be good. Other than that, thank you guys so much for watching this far. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Hey, and if you watch this video and you still buy lowering springs, shame on you, bruh.